All right, figuring shit out. This is episode 88. We back. We still here. We doing this thing. Bunny
For
Flocks in the
sure.
building. We got the Famo in the building. We got King Arthur.
Always.
King Arthur in the building. What's going on, bro?
Y'all know what time it is. Unify and Thrive, man. Y'all don't forget 2020 faces out here, man. Got them ass jumping. It's my season. We out here going. The product get going. What up with you, Frank? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. It's another day, another dollar. We doing our thing. We got a dope guest today. We got Jillian Anderson of HERide. It's a rideshare or rideshare company based out of Atlanta right now. We're going to talk about the business. We're going to talk about the origin story. We're going to talk about the need for this. But first things first, Jillian, thank you for joining us. Our very first question we always ask every guest is, what was your figuring shit out moment? This could be any moment in your life. You had an epiphany about entrepreneurialism, or the skies opened up and you saw the light and your life changed for the better. What do you have for us?
I think my figure shit out moment was listening to a podcast called How I Built This, and they had the founders of Lyft on there. And then I didn't know at the time it was only two people that founded the company.
Mm,
And I was like, oh, it was only two guys. One of the guys had a background that's very similar to mine, and the other guy was like a business guy. And I was like, wait a minute, two people started this company that's making billions. I could do this. Like, wait a minute, like I could
Right.
definitely do
Right.
this. And
thanks.
that moment, that's when I really decided to lock in and start her ride.
Okay,
Dope.
cool.
Yeah.
You know what company we listen to?
Hmm?
You know what company you would listen to that how I bet this?
Oh yeah, it was they had the founders of Lyft on there.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, they
And
inspired you,
they
huh?
came after Uber, because like Uber was first, wasn't they?
Yep. Who was first? Yeah.
Uber was the pioneers, and then Lyft was like behind them. And I think there's like now a handful.
Yeah.
Um, so that's cool. So that's your figure shit I'm on. So let's talk about, let's jump right in. You know what I'm saying? Because we got an
Yeah.
interesting, I'm sure there's an interesting, maybe perhaps cringe story behind this this company. It's called HERide, but it is strictly driven by women. So there's women drivers and women riders only. Is that correct?
Well, we service everybody from a legal
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, but the way we market is we market to women, yeah. And we only have women drivers, yes.
Dope. Okay, so what's the story behind it? Like, why just women?
So just women. Well, I started off as a Lyft Uber driver up in Atlanta. I moved in 2017. And the reason I moved to Atlanta is because I was trying to go pro for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started driving Uber and Lyft because it just worked out best with my schedule. I could work out in the mornings, work out in the afternoons, and still make enough, still make time to make money during the day, or the money that I need to make during the day. And so started driving at nights, and a lot of women started telling, I just started hearing it over and over again. There were a lot of women specifically at night that would tell me like they were canceling rides until they recognized the woman's name. They wish that they could only choose women drivers, or I've just heard different stories about all the different things that have happened to women using rideshare. And so it just after hearing it over and over again, I'm like, dang, this isn't like a problem that Uber and Lyft plan on fixing. And when I realized that, I was like, they're not really interested in helping the drivers. I was like, well, let me just start my own platform so that women can make more money, so that they can have better options when it comes to just doing rideshare, because the gig economy space started growing really rapidly between like
Mm-hmm.
2015 and 2020. And so I just really buckled down and got to it. I've always been like a natural problem solver. So
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
whenever a problem approaches me, I'm not one to really complain about it. I'm very solution oriented person. And so I just
All right.
started doing my research, and then of course listened to that podcast. They pretty much broke down how they started it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do this for sure. I can definitely do this. And I
That's
got it
fine.
done.
That is
Talk
dope.
about a niche inside of a niche, like because
Yeah.
uh, taxi cabin was already a thing, but then Uber and Lyft came and said, "Man, we can streamline this thing." But then here you go and say, "I can break it down and niche it down a little smaller, right?" Do
Hmm.
you think it's a large enough economy out there for female only drivers? Because I'm gonna play the chauvinistic role, right? A lot of
Okay.
dudes ain't getting in the whip with a girl driving, right? Or they don't let their girl drive.
Hmm.
That's
Or you
true.
hear a lot of ladies say, "I want passenger princess," right? They don't be trying to drive. So you think
Hmm.
there's enough market share there for you, just female drivers only?
Oh, for sure. In Georgia alone, 41% of the drivers for Lyft are women. So yeah, about half of the
Oh,
drivers are
snap.
women that drive on these platforms. This is just the time of day that they choose to drive. But yeah, like I said,
Right,
gig economy space is booming. It's worth I
right,
want to say a few $billion in this industry. So you got like Amazon Fleet, you got your Instacart, you got your DoorDash.
right.
You have people that have quit their jobs and they do nothing but this all day. Why?
Hmm.
Because it
Instacart,
just
yeah.
yeah, it works out best with their schedule. And there are a lot more mothers, especially from the millennial generation and Gen Z, young mothers that prefer doing rideshare or gig economy work over working a 9 to 5 or a straight, straight 8 hour job because they have a child that's in daycare, they have
Hmm.
this, they have that going on, and so they prefer to have a more flexible a job that they can choose from.
No, that's dope.
What's dope?
That's dope. So,
Yeah,
let's talk about so like how are okay, we know how you're different from Uber and Lyft, right? Because
right.
you're centered on women for the drivers. But what about like the vetting process? So I know when it comes to Uber and Lyft, they've had issues with drivers that were not the best of patrons or
More the
chauffeurs.
best moral compass.
Yeah.
Chauffeurs, right? There's issues there. And again, I was a Uber driver for a month. I didn't do it that long, but when I remember back when I signed up, it was more like, okay, do you have a recent car or an updated car, less than 5 years, I think it was. You have a license and you have insurance. And I don't remember if there was any like kind of criminal background or anything like that. So can you talk a little bit about your vetting process and how you pick your drivers and the reason why you're focused on women drivers? If you can get touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so our vetting process looks like a driver will apply on the platform. We send them a separate application because we haven't streamlined it through the app yet. And so there's like a DocuSign type application that they have. When they fill that application out, it gives us permission to run their background. It also gives us permission to run their NVR report. And so once they've completed the application, we do that manually. So we do have a person that does that manually. Once their background comes back clean, the NVR comes back clean, we send them a link so that they can schedule a vehicle inspection with us.
Mm.
So once you've been approved, you can't start driving immediately until somebody inspects your vehicle. And so we have a central location that we have all of our drivers or potential drivers they meet up at. Our vehicle inspectors, they'll choose a time and they will come out and they inspect their vehicle. It usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. But it's really just a chance for our vehicle inspector to meet that driver, vet that driver, have a conversation with them, see if if rideshare is really something that they want to do, explain
Mm.
what type of job they will be doing. Because everybody gets in like some people want to do rideshare gig economy work, and it's like, okay, but you don't even like people, so why would you have people in your car all day? Like,
Right.
so it's like, just trying to make sure like you're comfortable doing this type of work. And then the most important thing is that your car is presentable. We are a new rideshare company. We are the third rideshare company to be approved at Atlanta's airport. And so
Oh,
appearance really matters for us. Presentation really matters to me. And so if you are going to be driving on my platform, your car needs to be presentable. So if we're talking about smells, we're talking about look, appearance. I can't have cars that are all dinged up. That's just not it's not good for me and it's not good for my insurance. So
mhm.
Right.
so I just, I'm very, very picky about the cars. I'm very, very picky about I'm not super picky about the drivers, but I am picky about the presentation of the cars. And so that has to be on point. And so we are that because it's just a standard that we're trying to set.
Nice.
That's dope. I want to talk about expanding outside of Atlanta because, like you said,
Yeah.
you gotta inspect. You gotta get your car inspected, physically. And that's something that the other two don't do.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about getting to the airport. Like you said, the third ride share. So I'm assuming Uber and Lyft at the first, right? So talk about that process. What was that like? I'm sure that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It's a long process as well. We started the process back in 2022. Actually, I applied,
Wow.
and then you just go through ground transportation. There's a rideshare permit that you apply for. And so I applied. The minimum amount of drivers that you could put on, or the minimum amount of drivers that I had to have in order to apply was 20. And so the airport they charge
Okay.
$50 a head for each driver. And so that would brought my total up to 1,000 drivers for the permit. I mean, $1,000 for the permit. And so we pay that permit fee, but before you can be approved as a driver, you have to go through this process called it's like ABT. I believe that stands for airport based or something based transportation. Basically, it is a separate entity outside of the airport. It's like a government entity. And they basically are over the rideshare companies for all the airports.
They're like an oversight agency or
Yeah,
something.
so basically they needed I had to integrate my system with their systems. Like they had like a little API integration that we had to do so that they can track our drivers when they're on the airport. They need to know when our drivers are on the airport, when they're completing trips, when they're not completing trips. Because we have to
Mhm.
pay the airport for every trip that's completed. So it's basically their way of making sure that they get their money. So that
That's
process
crazy.
a
Yeah.
year for us to get approved by because they only have one person that does it for all the airports. So took us a year. Once we did get approved, like I said, I paid my permit fee. Airport sent me what the permit passes or the template of what the permit passes look like. Got those printed up, and we were out. We were rolling. The thing that, but even after that, so even after we got approved at the airport actually dropped a press release on us. So this came from Atlanta's Hartsfield Jackson Airport. They did an official
Dope.
press release on us letting everybody know that HERide was there. But honestly, that wasn't enough because inside of Atlanta's airport, there is actual signage that directs people to the rideshare area. And they actually had Uber and Lyft's name on the signage.
Right,
I
right.
pretty much raised hell for 6 months straight, trying to get our
As you
name
should.
signed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it just, for me, it was all about fairness. I paid my permit fee just like everybody else did. And so I felt like our name should be up there. Also, we were losing money, not losing money, but in terms of just awareness, most people they knew about the press release, but everybody's not reading those.
Hmm.
Everybody that comes through the airport is looking at that sign. So I just kept reiterating it to them like, hey, this is not fair. We need to have our signage. They
Hmm.
finally they finally gave in because at that point, the beginning of this year, January, I pretty much started a plan to where I was like, okay, I'm gonna get social media involved in this. And if we have to go viral in order
Hmm.
for y'all to give me my signage, so be it. And so I started making some posts that were just like, hey, you guys, you see this signage in the airport? Don't you guys think HERide should be up here? Like those little type of things. I
Hmm.
have a pretty nice social media following.
Subtle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice social media following. And so a lot of people were like, hey, yeah, what's going on at Atlanta Airport? Like, why? So once their marketing department caught wind of what we were doing, we got through. They communicated with us that they were trying to, do what they needed to do. I was like, well, y'all aren't working fast enough, and I've missed the entire holiday season due to the, lack of
Mm.
signage. So it was February of this year. I actually went on a random trip somewhere and I came back. It was the first week of February, and I'm always say that this was the best Black History Month gift I ever got. But I was coming back up later, headed towards the rideshare, and I noticed that our name was added on the signage. Like I literally lost
Dope.
shit in the airport. It was crazy. So
That's fire.
they
Nah,
added
that's
our
dope.
name in February, and we've been our productivity in terms of just app downloads, people on the app, revenue, all that has gone up about over 200%
Dope.
since adding the signage. And so, what I said worked. I was letting them know, I'm like, hey, no visibility. How are people going to know us? They only know of two rideshare companies. On top of that, you guys said in our contract that I'm not allowed to solicit on airport grounds. So how the fuck am I going to get people to know
Right.
about my company? So once they did the signage, they added the signage. I was super, super, super relieved, and we've been rolling ever since.
Nah, that's dope.
No, that's fire.
So when
So
when a new person, okay, go ahead, King. My fault.
now I was gonna say you must be making the airport enough money, or they must be getting a fair compensation for you guys, right? For to
Yeah,
allow you to raise hell and and to give in, I guess.
Are you looking for a media agency that covers all the creative tasks that make a business successful? Lucid Perspective produces elegant, high-resolution graphics and logos, high-definition and 4K video, complete with treatment concepts and innovative editing. Lucid Perspective provides photography services such as fashion, advertisements, product or service, and aerial photography. We also help businesses build their brands from the ground up with complete campaigns that will make your business attractive to your target audience. We can bring your brand to the masses with our effective and strategic marketing campaigns to include sales funnels, eye-catching advertisements, breakthrough digital marketing through social media, and other digital avenues. Visit lucidperspective.com today.
Yeah, so I mean it's all fair. Everybody has to pay the airport the same amount of money. It's I believe it's $3.85 per trip. So every trip that is
But that's
complete,
nothing.
every trip that originates from the airport. So if they're going from the airport anywhere, we have to pay them 385. Now, if we're dropping off at the airport, we don't have to pay the airport for that.
Right.
Any
Ooh,
ride that originates from the airport, we have to pay them $3.85. So if you guys ever be, or if you ever travel in an Uber or Lyft or whatever, and you're coming from the airport, that little extra surcharge, they have to pay the airport
for
that.
the
That
Airport
airport.
fees.
yeah.
So when when it comes to like businesses when they're starting, a lot of times when you got the big dog and the little dog, right? The big dog does some shady stuff or they try their best to like oppress the little guys, right?
Yeah.
Since you're breaking into this market, right? And now you're kind of like competing with Uber and Lyft. Have you noticed or can you speak on any issues with Uber and Lyft? Have anybody approached you from Uber or Lyft trying to buy you out or stop you in any kind of way to be like, hey, we don't want this, we don't want to share the market with these guys, so let's try to like derail them or something. Has that happened or
So
no?
so I mean, so I have people that work for Uber and Lyft that have been following me on like on LinkedIn and things like that.
Mm.
Um, a couple people have reached out. No one's reached out to buy us out. What they actually did was they just started copying us. So Lyft, um, what was it? September of 2023 is the month that the airport dropped our press release. I can actually remember the day. It was September 13th. And
Mm.
the day before that, September 12th, Lyft, and you can fact check me on this, Lyft announced Women Plus Connect. So they knew that we were approved at the Atlanta airport. They knew because we're all in the same. There's like email thread, and there's a monthly meeting that we're in every month. We've been approved since July, so we have been in these monthly
Right.
meetings since July. And so they knew.
That's
They knew who we
crazy.
Right.
were. They knew exactly what our company was. We've been on the news multiple times. And so like yeah, the day before our press release dropped, they decided to say, "Hey, we're testing out this new feature called Women Plus Connect, where we can match you with a woman driver." I was like, "Oh, how
Wow.
even
That's
the color,
gross.
even the color choice is purple. It's crazy. Their
Ugh.
advertising around it is purple. It's actually disgusting. So I would never
That's
accept a
gross.
buyout offer from Lyft because yeah, they can kiss my ass.
And are they doing that just in Atlanta or are they doing that nationwide? You know?
Nationwide. Well, they've pretty much done it nationwide.
Okay.
I think they started testing it out over in Cali, but it was in Atlanta almost immediately. Because people that know me, they send me screenshots of it all the time. They're like, are they copying you?" I'm like, "Yeah, a billion
Crazy.
dollar company's copying me. That's
That's
crazy."
a legitimate bite. That's a legitimate but they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right?
It is. It
It's
is. I'm not intimidated by any means. I just know that okay, there's clearly market share for this. There's clearly revenue for this. And like I said, it's only two airport. There were before me, it was only two rideshare companies in the airport. And the thing that the big mystic thing about these rideshare companies is that they don't ever share how much money they're really making.
Mm.
Um, so I can share some because I found some numbers. So in 2021, Atlanta airport did about 2.5 million rideshare rides, right? The average rideshare ride is like $30. And I'm just being like, that's on the minimum side. Leaving
Mm.
Atlanta airport to go anywhere, you're gonna pay probably like $30, right? So 2.5 million times 30 is about 60 something million. Yeah, almost 70 million.
Right.
Um, that's two companies sharing that revenue from one location in Atlanta. And you
Right.
mean to tell me these folks ain't making money? Yeah, okay.
man.
So,
Right.
so
They're gonna try
that's
to protect that. Yeah.
yeah,
They're gonna
and
try.
they don't even want those numbers to be out. Like the way I found those numbers out, I feel like was from, God sending me a sign. But like
Right.
when I looked at those numbers and saw that, I said, okay, I'm getting 33% of that. Like I'm gonna take 33% of the market. And that's what
So
I've been after ever since.
so now that just one of the big three, right? And now that one of the big three have kind of infringed on your space, kind of
Mhm.
or kind of incorporated it, right? How is that going to affect you moving forward? So like I said, I was thinking about how you're gonna, branch out earlier, but now that, and you could kind of use that to your advantage, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
look, I was the first one to do, this type of niche service at the Atlanta airport. You see what this company did. Let the originator come to your airport and be, and show you how to do it right. So how
Yeah.
do you plan on doing that?
So we plan on scaling kind of the same way I scaled in Atlanta, and also by focusing on the areas that Lyft and Uber just aren't focused on. So we really actually want to get into the school systems. I have a lot of friends that have kids and they hate waiting in that rider line. And so like
Mm,
becoming approved, like the difference between Uber and Lyft is they just set up shop in different cities. They ain't asked no questions. They just did what they did, right? We're taking a
big
completely
boy.
different approach. We're establishing relationship with the city. We're establishing relationship with the local, with everybody that's local there, and we're doing things the right way. And so when it comes to integrating with the school systems, you have to be approved as a vendor first. And so that's what we're working on is working on that process of becoming an approved vendor, reaching out to the nonprofit organizations, offering them rides and services, and as well as the doctor's offices, because those are extremely lucrative transportation options when it comes to just there's doctor offices that book rides for people all the time. If we can get into the school system, um, we can have schools booking for the kids. So if the
Mm-hmm.
parents don't feel like taking their kid home, or they'll let them know, hey, can you go ahead and book a HERide for my child today? They can already have them set up in the system, have the ride booked, all that good stuff. But then also parents will just feel a little bit more at ease knowing that a woman's taking their kid home instead of just any random guy. And then knowing that
Big
our
greasy over
exactly, knowing that
there.
our background checks are a lot more certified. That's it'll give them a little bit more comfort. As well as once other teachers find out, because clearly they don't pay teachers enough to work, we probably have some teachers that'll sign up that'll be willing to give kids
Right
rides.
after school.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's dope. Um, so when you was talking about the Lyft uh doing their program or biting, um, a question came to mind was, did you so like I know I'm sure you have do you have a patent or what's it called?
I
Trademark
was thinking that.
or copyright for the idea, so to speak, or is it too broad to like
Yeah, can't
copyright the
copyright
idea?
the idea, but I did
Okay.
trademark the name. I feel
Okay.
like the best name as it relates to women's ride share. Her ride, I feel like when people hear it, they get it. I didn't trademark the logo yet because we are probably going to change the logo. It's very
Mm-hmm.
confusing to people. So I've
It
just
is.
It looks
yeah,
like an O, like her
It looks
road.
like
yeah.
HERide.
Nobody knows that this is the female gender symbol. So I'm like, okay, if
Right.
nobody knows it's a female gender symbol, we just got to switch this up because clearly I just used that symbol to replace the I, but no
It
one's
looks like he rode too. It could be like he rode.
everybody's like, this is this hero? So I'm like, all right, cool. We're gonna work on the logo. That's no problem. But the name HERide is, I feel like that is the best name when it comes to this. Thinking of women only ride share. I went through a lot of iterations of names. She ride, get her ride, like get her ride, like all that stuff. And I was like, for me, I did some research on app names. Like the best app names about 2 syllables long. That's it. Like they're not really super long names. It's very
Mhm.
quick to say. And so I was okay. We need to figure out something that's like people will get it as soon as they hear it. And I
Mhm.
actually trademarked the name before I even got the app registered, or I mean before I got the
All
app
right.
developed, because I was that confident in the name.
All
No,
right.
that's dope.
So, hey, Frank, I'm about to get a little selfish right quick. All
That's
right.
cool.
So Cutty App. You said 2 syllables. Cutty App. I knew my name was fire. I know my so what the issue for my app was. So I went out to build the app. I'm actually about developing your app, right? The
Mhm,
process for that, and how much it's going to cost, right? But
mhm.
then also I want to talk about the operation of it, right? So what I did was I got a couple of it's a haircut or hair design app. So people could find barbers or hairstylists to come to them. So
Right,
instead of going to the barbershop, right, you getting a haircut or the barber
Like
or the hairstylist to come to you,
DoorDash
gotcha.
for
right?
haircuts.
Yeah, DoorDash for haircuts.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and it was only on demand, right? It wasn't like I didn't want you can book somebody for later or whatever or tomorrow. I wanted if they're open now, they can come to your crib right now, right? So,
Gotcha.
but my issue was that I was the only operator, right? And so but I'm not a barber. I got hair. I'm not even getting a haircut on a regular like that. And I had two other actual barbers and a female hairstylist on the team, right, to invest in this thing and get this thing going. And I was hoping that they would do their end as to market and kind of promote and kind of use the app right to show people how it worked.
Right.
Long story short, that didn't happen. So I'm going to ask you, How'd you talk about your development process and getting the app, and then talk about the operating of the app once you got it started.
Yeah. So the development process, found a company to do it. The company's name AppScript. So a lot of people, I guess let me just go back a little bit. So my background is actually in computer science. That's what I got my degree in.
Hey,
Hey, that's
Um,
all. I
take
think that's
heed.
all three of us. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
turn
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So I don't, but I hate coding. Like I'm not really into coding at all.
That's us.
Exactly. So I found a company to do it, and a lot of people, and they even ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, how did you get this app made?" I was like, "Look, when it comes to apps, there's whatever idea you probably have, it's probably already been invented. So I'm like, so when you think about getting another app or duplicating an app, just you need to look for a clone app." I said, this is what it's called. You're finding a clone app. So if you need an Uber
Mm,
clone app, that's what you're looking for on Google. That's what you're searching for. So I tell people that all
mm,
the time. I'm like, you can make whatever app you want to make. It's about understanding what it is that's getting made. And I tell people all the time, please make sure you have somebody that's technically savvy. Because if if you're trying to get something cheap, if you're trying to get something made for cheap, or you're trying to go to India or whatever like that, those people will play you. Like I'm like, I don't think you understand. Just because they're not from here does not mean they are not skilled in the art of finesse.
Facts.
No, that's facts.
So they will get over on you. But that I went and got the app developed. After that, while the app was being developed, so it took them 3 months to get it done. I just decided to test around with ideas like proof of concept, right? I made
Hmm.
an Indeed job posting for HERide drivers over Christmas break, and that was of 2019. Over Christmas break, I made an Indeed job posting. Over 500 people applied within a week,
Wow,
Ooh,
that's
men
dope.
and women, just it was crazy. And I was like, bet we got something. So I was like, cool. I was like, all right, cool. So I don't have to worry about like going hard to recruit drivers because I
They
just
out there.
Indeed
Yeah.
posted it and it's there. So that was one of my tests of proof of concepts. Once the app was done, it was actually done in March of 2020. Everybody knows what happened then. The entire world shut down. So that sucked. So right
Hmm.
when I was ready to actually test it out on the market, I couldn't because of COVID. So what I decided to focus on at that point was customer acquisition. I was like, cool, I don't have no money, but you know how to use social media, you know how to do all this stuff, Jill. So I really took a lot of time, me and my other former co-founder, of just getting on social media and just trying out different trends to see if we could go viral off of, different things. My favorite social media platform is Twitter. And so I spent a lot of time on Twitter. I built up a pretty decent following on Twitter. And so during COVID, there was a lot of different trends going on Twitter. And I,
Hmm.
I remember this one vividly. People were posting a picture of themselves. This especially right after Black Lives Matter happened. And so, everybody's pro-Black. Everybody's
that
going,
didn't last long.
yeah, anything
Yeah.
black, they're going hard for. So on Twitter,
Hmm.
they started all these different trends. One of them was people were posting a picture of themselves, like just a picture of themselves, and then the picture of their business. And so I told my former co-founder, I said, look, I want you to do this trend, but I want you to post a picture of yourself, and
Hmm.
we're gonna post a picture of the business. Let's see what happens. But then like 15 to 30 minutes, she called me back. She was like, I think we're gonna go viral today. I was like, ah.
What?
Yeah, and so yeah, that was our first real stress test. 7,000 people signed up on the platform that day. We did
As
go viral.
That's
customers?
fire.
Yep, as
That's
customers.
that's
They
wild.
the app and
That's
signed up from all over the world. People were in New York, Texas, California, Georgia,
right.
of course. Like people were signing up everywhere because they thought this idea was so great. They couldn't wait for us to, come to their city, all that good stuff. So I was like, bam, proof of concept number two. So I got the driver's side taken care of, I got the customer side taken care of. And so
That's ill.
when it actually came for us to start giving rides, I was one of the first. I was the first driver. I gave the first ride. I had a car at the time, and the woman that I gave a ride to, she didn't even live in Georgia. She found us because we went viral on social media, decided to fly to Atlanta, and she decided to try us out. She didn't even use rideshare. She said that she does not use rideshare when she ever flies or travel, but she tried us out, and that was my first ride. I'll never forget it.
That's
And
That's
dope.
amazing.
yeah, thank you. And from then on, I just developed a plan of how I was going to onboard drivers properly and all that good stuff. Because, like I said, we had this backlog of people that were super interested. And so just figuring that process out, hiring some of my first vehicle inspectors. I was the vehicle inspector for the longest until I
Hmm.
was able to hire a few people. And we've been rolling ever since.
Hi, I'm King Arthur, founder of Novel Views Tech, where we prepare children aged 10 to 17 for a future shaped by advanced technology. Our curriculum dives into fields like robotics, nanotechnology, quantum computing, and more. But what really brings learning to life are our bi-monthly, Exploring the Future of Technology, webinars, hosted by industry experts. These webinars aren't just lectures, they're interactive discussions that connect your child to the pulse of the tech world, creating a learning experience that goes beyond the classroom. We offer a money-back guarantee to ensure you're completely satisfied. Equip your child with the skills to not just adapt, but to innovate and lead in the future. Join us at Novel Views Tech, and let's build their future today.
No, that's crazy. So let's
That's
let's
dope.
talk numbers right now. Like
Yeah.
today, if you can, if you want to share how many drivers you have, what's the how many clients you have, daily rides and all that in Atlanta right now, if you can share that.
So we got about 250 drivers on the platform, but
Damn.
all of them aren't active, right? So
Mm-hmm.
people aren't driving every single day. My goal is to get 1,000 drivers doing 10 rides a week. But right now
Okay.
we're getting about almost 500 requests per month.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not completing all of those. So we're completing about 150 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I couldn't bring home nothing less than an 80. So I'm like, look, we need 80% completion rate. I don't
That's
care
right.
if we got that on, but we need 80% completion rate. And so that's what we've really been working on right now, is getting our completion rate up. And there's certain things that I had to add on to the app, certain features that I needed to add on to the app in order to make the drivers' lives a little bit easier so that we can
Mm-hmm.
complete more trips. And so within like 1 or 2 weeks, we'll have this claim button feature that'll be added. So because like all my drivers can, so the way we promote is we promote pre-booking, right? We tell people to book in advance on the platform because we don't have as many drivers. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to get it set up to where all my drivers can see all the bookings that people pre-book, but they couldn't claim them for themselves. And so now we're adding on a claim button so that drivers can just claim a trip. It'll be sitting in their assigned section until it dispatches, but they'll actually have they'll be able to collect a number of trips already so they can pretty much plan their day out if they need to, all that good stuff. Already know where they're going, map their day out for the day. And we pay 80% of the fare. So the
That's
women
crazy.
that
Yeah.
sign up on our platform, they really enjoy driving on our platform because they know how much money they're making, right?
Uh,
We're very
and
transparent with that.
and
Mhm.
Uber, correct me if I'm wrong, were they like 40, 60 or so? I don't know the
Yeah, it's
numbers,
like
but
40, really like 40. Yeah.
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
They're giving about the drivers are keeping about 40%. It's actually egregious. The
Right.
drivers
They're
are
using their car, using their insurance, using their gas, and then they taking
yeah.
all it.
Yeah, all we as the rideshare company has to do is we have to cover commercial auto insurance, right? And have an insurance policy, but the driver's doing everything else. Like, so why
Mm-hmm.
why are we taking all the money again? Really,
Right.
we're just like a glorified marketing company. So I don't look at I'm cool with an 80-20 split, 20% profit, a profit share, profit margin is incredible. Like most restaurants only see like 2 or 3%. So I'm doing
Ain't it
really
though?
Right. No, that's dope. If you had to pick the next city, well, of course, you're probably gonna. This is a question you're gonna have to answer, come across. What's the next group of cities or next city you would love to jump off or launch her ride in?
I'm from Athens, Georgia. So Athens, UGA. I really want to test out what their college town looks like,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
especially
yeah.
like for SEC school. I would love to see what those numbers look like. Uber is pretty big there. It's big all year in Athens, especially when the students are there, specifically when the students are there. And I
Mm-hmm.
would love to test that market out, see what that looks like, and then hit another major market. Houston, Texas is another market that I'm looking at. I'm really looking at the cities, the major cities that don't have great public transportation, where people really
Mm-hmm.
have to drive everywhere, where public transportation isn't your first option. Those are the cities that I'm looking at because cities like Atlanta, for example, we have public transportation, but it sucks. Everybody drives here because you literally have to. You have no other option. So those are the cities that I'm really focused on. I'm trying to stay out of New York because New York's really their rideshare permit price is like $1 million or some crazy. It's like it's actually egregious. Um,
Sounds about right for New York.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at like cities that have a low TNC permit. So that's what rideshare companies are labeled as TNCs, the transportation network companies. And I
Mm-hmm.
have like my entire Excel sheet that has all the prices for all the states of how much their permits are. And so really just looking at the ones that have the lowest barrier of entry and then going into those states and then expanding from there.
That'll be dope. Have you looked into Hampton Roads or Virginia? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's
Yeah,
happening
Virginia
here.
has an extremely high TNC
Does it? Yeah.
price as
I
well.
would think so.
It's like $100,000. I'm like, what is going like when I tell y'all the prices are so random in every state, I know for a fact that it's like Uber or Lyft's influence as to why that price is that way because
Oh, for the
they're trying to keep
competition.
people, yeah, they're trying to keep people out.
Is that so you say 100, is that like a one time or is that like a yearly
Oh, it's
thing?
yearly. Like who is paying that?
Ooh.
That's insane. That
So
means I
you
already
would have to
have,
make
yeah, I would
have
already
money bands, and then you got to make $1 million to even make that make sense.
exactly. So that's why I'm really focused on like getting Atlanta off the ground and like this whole 1,000 drivers doing 10 rides a week. Because if I can get that production just coming out of the airport, we'll be seeing about 10 million a year, and that's just from airport rides in Atlanta.
No, that's dope. That's dope. And as I gotta say this, as a married man, like I was telling you before, we frequent Georgia. I have a mother-in-law who got a salon out there, and my wife is probably gonna be going to Georgia. I'm gonna tell her about this app. So and again, as a married man, I'm 1,000% more comfortable with her having a woman drive her from the
Yeah.
airport
It's
to where she gotta go. I mean, it's gonna happen. Like that's the reality. There's nothing we can do about that. But we got options now. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's a lot of creeps out
Frank,
there, cringy
somebody Uber
motherfuckers.
put a
Drivers
meet
on my
out, bro.
platform are happy. They're happy to drive on the platform. They don't hate their job. They enjoy
Right.
Good.
what they do. And yeah, Atlanta's number 2 in sex trafficking in the United States. So yes, you should always
Fuck.
be aware as a woman when you're traveling in Atlanta.
That's
So-
everywhere, but yeah, Atlanta probably ain't.
So back to me being selfish again, right? Like you kind of inspire me almost to start the app up again. Almost. I just know
That's a good name. You have a good name. I like Cutty.
I'm not the one to run it. That's for sure, right? That's what I do know. But also, when I was talking to the hairstylist, they were just saying like, bro, who house am I be going to? Or I got to carry more than just clippers, right? Because when the ladies do hair, they get busy.
Yeah.
Right. They got stuff.
Yeah.
and so that was one thing I was thinking about. And I was just, as you were talking about the ladies, but the ladies, niggas buy records, but niggas do what bitches do is one of my favorite rap lines. And then women entrepreneur and women business owners, women degrees are up like 1,000% over men, especially Black women, right? And so they kind of are making this world and economy, uptick a little bit. Yeah, the big names and the big businesses, are keeping it afloat. But without the women coming aboard and doing what they do and starting businesses, getting their degrees and spending money the way they spend, because they spend more money than a lot of people, right? They spend the men's money more than they spend their own money, right? So, or just as much, right? I ain't saying more, just as much, right? So women are an intricate part of our society. They're an intricate part of our culture, and they're an intricate part of our growth, right? So you definitely got something going on there. And I'm just trying to think about how can I get Cutty back in the business. I might need a woman to start Cutty App for me.
So I can give you a tip. Instead of sending barbers to people's houses, you might have you ever heard of the ghost kitchens that they started up?
Yeah.
The ghost kitchens around. You should probably try to see if there's like a salon suite space that you could rent that it could operate as like a ghost salon suite, and that could be the meeting place for not only the customer but the person that's doing the service. So that one, they're in a mutual space. It's in a safe space for both of them. They don't have to worry about like being in somebody's house. People's houses stink. That was the number one.
Yeah. You got pets.
I wouldn't want to go cut nobody's hair and their house smell like, I don't know.
And there's sanitary things too. Like you can't just.
I was about to say it is a sanitary thing especially for women that are cosmetologists. I know they just can't just be in anybody's space. It's an insurance liability as well. So if you have a central location where the barber and the cosmetologist can meet and the customer can meet there, that would actually probably work out a lot better in your favor. And then you could just, it could be secure. You can have the cameras and all that stuff in there, all that good stuff. But yeah, it'll be both of them have to meet at that central location.
I like that too, because I've talked to a lot of barbers, hairstylists, and they was like, why am I sending my barber or my hairstylist, out of my salon or shop to go elsewhere? And I'm
Yeah, because
like,
you
all
know they
right,
pay
but
them
like
booth rent for that. So you're like
they do
still
pay
in
booth rent,
yeah.
but I was just telling them too, like they sit here on the Tuesday at 2:30, bro. Ain't nobody in here. You know what I'm talking about? Like if somebody
Exactly.
want a haircut, go get the money. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Right.
So
But
charging the
and it,
of course charging the barbers and the cosmetologists just to be on the platform, that should be standard. Because
yeah,
if
that
you're
was, yeah, it
providing the
was.
space for them, then they need to be paying you and probably like a monthly subscription or whatever it is
Yep,
to
I had that.
use and utilize that space.
Yeah, so I think I like that idea because a lot of them were independent salon, you know, hairstylists, cosmetologists, and barbers, right? So like you said, getting a ghost salon. All right,
Yep.
I might hit the drawing board, but I might hit the drawing
Yeah.
board with this one again because my name is fire though. My name fire.
Yeah, the name is good. Cutty is a good name.
No,
But
that's
yeah,
dope.
got
That's yeah. All right. So
uh, you have a
what else we
question for
got?
me?
I'm trying to think of one. Sometimes you
Uh,
draw blanks. I
All right.
wanted to
so
say
I
something
think,
about go ahead. You got
but
one.
now I was gonna ask the final question if you ain't had nothing else.
Oh no. I was trying to like let's see what the angle I want to approach this. Have you had any pushback from particularly men
Yeah.
who look at this? Okay, great. Who look at this and be like, why,
What
this
day of
is
the
gonna
week
be
you want
those
me to choose?
dudes. They're gonna be why just
What day of the
women
week you want
drive.
to choose?
When we
What?
first started, we did get a lot of pushback. Now that
Okay.
I've gone viral a few times and we've had like we did Afrotech did this year, Essence did an article on us.
Ooh,
Like now that more established publications have been talking about us and stuff like that, the pushback has it died down a lot. But
Hmm.
2 years ago, a guy literally went to the EEOC and sued me. He never applied as a driver. We never had a conversation on the phone. Just filed a lawsuit with the EOC and said that he tried to apply as a driver and called the number and I told him we don't I said didn't you see the news? We don't hire men.
That
The
just sounds made up.
I
Yeah.
know, right? It was crazy. It cost me $5,000 to deal with, which is insane.
Wow.
But when I read the details of what he said, because it was all a lie, the day that he made this statement was the first time we were ever on the news. I said, there was no
Dang.
way I talked to you. I said, there was no way I talked to you. I
Right.
was like, I didn't even talk to anybody that day outside of like my inner circle because it was just like we were on the news and like everybody was blowing me up about it. And I was like, look, it's not really that big of a deal, guys. I literally still work my 9 to 5. Like, calm down.
Hmm.
But that's the date that he chose that he said that he spoke to me. And I was like, well, let's pull my phone records. So pull my
yeah.
phone records
Oh,
show the I got the best EEOC lawyer in the state of Georgia. That's why it cost me $5,000 because I was not playing no games. I wanted to go ahead and shut this down from the jump, and handled that. EEOC found no wrongdoings on our end, but basically was trying to say that we were discriminating because we only allow women drivers on the platform. And so
hmm.
for all the men out there that are listening that are thinking of doing what he did, don't waste your time because all the drivers on our platform are contractors. And I'm in Georgia, which is a right to work state.
Hmm.
So we have the right to choose who drives on our platform, point blank, period.
Dope.
Yeah. And there's a whole litany of people out there who just go around trying to find loopholes in other companies
Yeah.
to sue them or find ways, just like the company who waited for Google's domain to expire. They bought it up and made Google pay them, but Google,
Yeah,
they
like
got
just
lawyers and
weird
stuff.
stuff like that. Like there's it's like what? People
Like,
really have no lives. It's
but
crazy.
if I ain't knocking them because if you find your loophole
Yeah.
and you got to get paid, like you got to get paid.
Yeah,
You
you
know
know
what I
it's
mean?
America. But see, he didn't
It
That's
get no
is.
not
money
that
from it.
way though. Like,
He didn't get no
yes.
money from that. It was insane. It was insane that
I would have count.
the
Did you
law
counter
office
sue?
that even took that we couldn't because he went through the EOC. Like I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
That mother, it's okay, but it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all good.
But it's
But I'm
crazy. People will come
surprised
for you
that
though.
the law firm even took the case because I was like, this is stupid. But they, of course they charged him for it, so they ain't
So
losing money.
They didn't
you was able
care.
to get that thrown out because you proved that he did not, in fact, call you. He had
Yep,
no correspondence with you.
yep.
So he lied about that. But let's say he did call
Hmm.
and you didn't say that, and he just said, "Hey, you said this to me." Would it have been harder to fight then if there was like proof of an
Um,
interaction?
He said, she said.
Yeah.
No, because I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, we have the right to choose who we want on our platform. Just
Hmm.
Regardless.
with the way that with the way that the drivers are listed, they're not listed as W-2 employees. They're 1099 contractors. And
Hmm.
so we have the right to choose who is and is not on our platform, especially in the state of Georgia.
It is now 2023, going on 2024. Why don't you have a VPN? Only for a limited time, go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. You could get 83% off the PIA VPN. What is a VPN? VPN is basically software that's used to hide an end user information such as IP address, location, private data they may be transferring over the internet, identifiable information such as their devices they're using from being spied on, from hackers, governments, internet service providers, anybody out there who wants to steal your data for their own personal gain. That's basically what a VPN does. If you want to take advantage of this discount, go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. Go there now, sign up, tell them I sent you, get your software, get it installed on your laptops, on your mobile phones, on your tablets, any device that connects to the internet, get it installed on there. Get protected, go now.
So
No.
shout out to Georgia for protecting us.
No, that's ill. But yeah, when my wife's definitely going, I'm like, hey, you need to get the HERide joint. I mean,
Exactly.
most likely I'll be
Right here,
driving
right
her.
now.
We drive all the time. So, but yeah, if she's ever down there by herself, I'm like, do this.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm
she
saying?
got fires out one time.
That'd be dope.
Hey, Frank, that hat kind of fire, Frank. I ain't lying.
I know, right? You see this joint? It's the yellow one.
It
Figure
is.
shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty dope. It's
Yeah.
expensive, but
All right. So you talked about running your app. You talked about how you got started. You talked about some of the things you plan on, how you plan on growing, some of the schools and stuff like that. I think our final question is what is something you're trying to figure out now, moving forward? Like, what's one thing you're really focused on now, trying to move forward?
Figuring out how to raise money better. I just feel like
Hey.
it's so hard for me to raise money. And everybody tells me how genius this idea is. I'm like, okay, why haven't we raised $1 million yet? Where's my $1 million investor? The same way that like Travis Kalanick had his. I'm like, where's mine? Like, that's what I'm really trying to figure out right now is navigating that space, but also figuring out the VC space because the VC space is pretty treacherous.
Mhm.
They'll say that they're interested or whatever, or that they'll give you $1 million for your business, but they want like 40% of it. And I'm like,
Right.
wait a
That's
minute,
crazy.
like, hold up.
Shark Tank. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very predatory. And so just navigating that space, navigating how to raise money better. That's really what I've been figuring out. We were able to secure a loan with the city of Atlanta. So I developed a relationship with the city of Atlanta. And they have this company called or investment company called Invest Atlanta, where they invest in different businesses in Atlanta. They did a startup growth loan. We're the second company to receive that loan. So we got like $75,000 for that. We are semi-finalists for this $150,000 grant that this organization down in South Fulton is doing. It's dealing with mobile transportation and last mile, helping out the last mile down in South Fulton. So like just being really, really creative with the way that we raise money without having to give up capital. I mean, without having to give up equity. I raised almost $100,000 with a family and friends round. So, but I waited to do my family and friends round until after we got on the news because Black people don't believe stuff till they see it. I'm just being honest. Yeah, like I had this idea,
Or they see a bunch of support. Right.
yeah, but people didn't believe what I was doing until we were on the news. Literally, when we were on the news, like everything changed. I was like, okay, so all I had to do was get on the news, and the news is free, by the way. The news did
Right.
all the
They
stories.
need content. Right.
Yeah, I didn't have to pay for. We still haven't really paid for outside of us making the commercial that we made last year. I haven't paid for marketing. I don't pay for Facebook ads. I haven't done any of that yet. One, just because my app isn't where I want it to be at. Because once I know the traffic comes, it's gonna come. And I want to make sure my app is running seamlessly because people are very finicky with apps. They don't work right, they're not using it again. And so,
Facts.
yeah,
I've
it's
been
gonna
there
be
plenty of
really
times.
hard to get them to come back. So I don't want to waste all that money promoting and telling people to use the app and the app's glitchy or whatever like that. So we're really about to start like our first real marketing ad run and stuff like that to see what those numbers and stuff like that look like. But up until now, we've been it's been free. I call it free promo. My co-founder, she calls it, what is it called? Earn marketing. Because she's the
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nah, that's ill. So yeah, you're on the way. I
hold on.
already know. I already know this ain't gonna blow up.
Yeah, so you said getting $1 million from VC, right? So if a VC came to you and said, I got $1 million, what you gonna do with it? Because I know that's a question they ask, right? Especially if they're gonna give you some money for a piece of your company, how are you gonna spend that money? So, and also you have thought about pitch competitions.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, my bad. I completely forgot about that. I did nothing but pitch competitions last year. I won about $40,000. I was just out there thugging it. I would
That's fine.
pull up to any pitch competition that matched in my category. I flew all the way out to LA last year. Act House did a pitch competition, went out there and won $5,000.
So
Won $10,000 in another pitch competition. And I've won a whole bunch of $1,000 ones, and I think I won I won two $5,000 ones, two $10,000 ones, and a whole bunch of $1,000 ones. So yeah, I'm
so
always applying for grants, these little random grants and stuff like that. That I see. Been applying to those, been doing really well with those. It's just though that process takes so long. Like you'll apply for a grant in December, you might not see if you win that grant, you might not see that money until May. So it's that
right.
like, it's just that just takes forever. But yeah, I really would love to find my one angel investor that could just invest in me. We already have a plan of how we're going to spend the money, how we're going to allocate it. Um, it's a really good plan. All I need is about $800,000.
Right.
I can get Atlanta completing 40,000 trips a month with that
So
money. Yeah.
what about like
Okay.
Kickstarter or like those VC websites? There's a Kickstarter.
Your
There's
Kickstarters and your start engines. I know
yeah.
Yeah,
Isaac
start
Hayes
engine.
fan base. He's done really, really well with
Shout out to fan base.
Yep, shout out to fan base. He's done really, really well with it.
Popcorn.
For me, it's just not. It didn't fit with us with the transportation model. Just because crowdfunding is very tedious. You can't do the way you crowdfund is
Hmm.
due to the SEC rules. You can't really do a lot. Like you can't the way you promote and do it is very different. They're very strict on the way you promote when you crowdfund. And so
Hmm.
it limits the way that you can make, I don't know, it limits the way that you can raise your funds.
Right.
Um, and with me, I like Isaac Hayes. His dad was Isaac Hayes. He has that notoriety behind his name. He has a lot of connections in the background that a lot of people just don't know about. And
Right.
so he was able to raise that money a little bit quicker. What he's doing is actually incredible. But I just personally
For
wanted to stay
sure.
away from crowdfunding because I don't want all them people on my cap table. I'm just being honest. I
Fair
don't
Right.
want
enough.
a bunch of
Fair
people.
enough.
I don't care if you donated or invested $50 or $600. Like we spent that like this. But because you
Right.
invested $600, now you trying to say that, oh, you should be doing this, you should be. I don't
Yeah.
hear
No,
that.
I
Like,
feel you.
yeah, like I'm just not
It's
interested in all
too
the
many
opinions.
people involved at that
Yeah,
point.
too many opinions, all that other stuff, and just I'm not really interested in all that. I'm interested in the people that believed in what we were doing when we first started. When I did that family and friends round, opened it up to those people, those select few people, and well, not even that select few people, it was the people that were just interested. And
Hmm.
we've been rolling with those people since. Though they've been the best investors ever, like the
So
best investors ever. Yeah.
nah, that's dope. But yeah, no, this
That's
is a
fire.
dope episode. We definitely appreciate you coming through.
Thank
Before we
you.
head
For
out,
sure.
if you could drop your socials, drop your company socials, drop anywhere people can get in contact with you, invest
Yeah.
with you, get in contact with you, let them know where to find you.
Yeah, so personally you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter name is Jill B Gates. So it's JILL Gates. And that's my nickname. And then my Instagram is therealjilgates. So you can find me on those two platforms there. And then for
Mm.
HERide, anything HERide related, our ad is GetHERide. So GetHERide. You can find us on all social media platforms with that handle. And if you like to email me personally about investing or anything like that, my email address is jill@getheride.com.
So
That's dope.
that's ill. And if you
Yeah.
contact her from this podcast, make sure you told her Figuring Shit Out sent you.
You know
All
what I'm
right.
talking about? Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? So nah, this is super dope. This is inspiring. I had an app idea too. I'm not gonna get into it. It fluttered.
Look,
It
hold on.
failed.
Before we
No,
go,
no, 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 no. Don't
hey Jill, I
don't
got
do
to. Hey Jill, my man, got about 75% of the way. He got about 75% of the way
it. Yeah,
and stopped working on the app and put up something else. So what's
because
up?
it
What's
was
up with that, bro?
because Apple
What's
pissed
up,
me
Frank?
off. Apple, you already
I
know
can't hear
what
you,
it is.
Frank.
Apple, fucking
Apple with
iOS.
App Store when it what they
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
testing. Yeah, it was good on Android. When it came to Apple and testing, I didn't have no Apple products because I don't really like Apple. So that just killed everything for me. But that's neither here or there. You know what I'm
Oh, I got a
saying?
great iOS developer on Upwork if you want me to refer him to you.
Okay, that could work. I mean, if I
Yeah.
get inspired to do that. But yeah, I personally was not interested in testing on Apple. but that
Oh,
was
wow.
that
That
was
hurt my
me.
heart. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
She wanted to be an Apple girl.
90% of my users are iOS users. And then I have like the small 10% that are Androids. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't working on the Android. And I'm like, why do you have an Android?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
no.
the real question.
I've been at
That's
Apple.
crazy.
I used to have Apple, but I switched. I since changed, and now I'm Android. Apple just did so many changes; it just took power from the user. So that's neither here or there.
I
We're not
feel
gonna
you.
get into that rant
Oh,
because we could be here for another hour.
man. So look, what was that? Before you go, what was it when you said the template? What was the template you said you should get for the apps?
Oh, so they're
Uh,
called clone apps. Like
okay, all right.
if you're just searching for like whatever, like yeah, a template, it would be like a
Oh,
whatever the big company is or whatever that big main one is, clone app. And then they have these things called super apps now. So like basically iterations of like your Uber app, because Uber has like all these different things and webbed into it now. So super apps or clone apps. Yep.
All
No,
right,
Look
fire.
for.
I'm going back to drum
nice.
board.
That's a
Yeah.
dope. No, that's dope. I don't know.
I
But
might.
Yes,
thank you.
you better. You only miss the iOS. That's the easiest part. You did the hard
Uh,
part with the
I know
Android.
I was doing a lot of work myself though. That was it. Like I
Oh,
built
so
it on Flutter
understood.
my
Yeah, just pay
yeah.
somebody to do that. That ain't nothing.
Okay.
He rich too.
No,
Look at him. No,
no. Don't lie to the people I do. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll catch you. And no, this is super dope. Thank you so much. This is pretty dope.
Thank you,
I
guys. I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
you.
appreciate you for
All
having
right.
me.
Peace out.
Yes, man.
You have a good one.